Hey, what is going on everybody? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the vlog. Hope everyone is having a fantastic day. We have some really exciting C8 Corvette Z06 news, and that is General Motors and Chevrolet have taken yet another step in combating flippers and brokers/resellers from being able to flip the Z06, reducing the ability of the car to reach a true consumer that wants to own the vehicle. And the contents of today's video is not just applicable to the C8 Z06, it's going to apply to the Hummer EVs and the Cadillac Escalade-V series, a car that I've made reference to in previous Z06 videos as an indicator of General Motors' approach to both pricing and sales tactics for the C8 Z06. And for those stopping by for the first time, I like to get straight into my videos and not pad them to a certain length for ad revenue, especially if they are news updates like this. I let the content drive the time frame of the video. And for those that appreciate this approach and have given me a subscribe, I greatly appreciate the continued support. And those stopping by for the first time, if you want to hit that subscribe button, I would greatly appreciate it. So just to recap, I break it down in an earlier video with the memo and all the information. General Motors is offering a $5,000 reward point incentive towards GM financial payments as well as accessories in a previous statement they released last week that I detail in the video in the top right corner. Additionally, today, a memo from General Motors North America President Steve Carlisle comes down hard with some penalties for people that flip the C8 Z06 and some of the other vehicles that I mentioned in the first 12 months of ownership. The contents of the letter I'll put up on the screen, and just to kind of go over at a high level, the letter serves as a follow-up to the communication in January, so if you missed that, that was for dealerships to be aware of General Motors keeping an eye on market adjustment and dealer ADM. I don't think they did very much to actually stop any of it, so it was kind of a soft warning. But on the heels of that, this letter is effectively saying that in the name of customer appreciation and customer experience, GM brands are damaged when high-demand enthusiast products are limited in availability because of dealer ADM and flipping. And so this memo is effectively stating that anyone that buys a Escalade-V series, a Chevy Corvette Z06, and a GMC Hummer EV, SUV, and pickup truck will lose the ability to transfer the original warranty if they resell the vehicle within 1 year. And dealers will get additional detail on what these warranty implications and customer acknowledgement requirements will be for this new process. Which makes me think that we are going to have to actually sign a piece of paper if we take delivery of any of these vehicles that are mentioned above, outlining our acknowledgement and agreement to the fact that we are okay with giving up our warranty if we resell the car within the first year. And we'll jump into some of the legality because that acknowledgement is very, very key in how I think this plays out. For those that don't know, the Federal Trade Commission actually has a law under the Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act, which among many other things has a designation of warranties clause, which I'll highlight and show here, that a full warranty may not expressly restrict the warranty rights of a transferee during its stated duration. And there's some additional legal jargon here that I won't really get into because I'm not a lawyer, but you can kind of read it up. This is some of the verbiage that effectively states that the warranties transferring cannot be restricted from its initial stated duration. And so that's kind of what's taking place here, but I suspect that that disclaimer or that acknowledgement that General Motors will have you sign at the time of delivery for this process will probably include knowingly foregoing this right. And I imagine there'll be some legal complications around this. But one way or the other, this does in fact discourage flippers from taking these vehicles, buying them, and then flipping them for a profit strictly for the purpose of doing so. Additionally, the seller that flips their vehicle within the first 12 months or sells it is going to be barred from placing any future orders for any of these high-demand vehicles that General Motors identifies as a high-demand model. In other words, they end up on what's known as the transporter list, which is like a blacklist that these manufacturers have for people that vehicles aren't allowed to be sold to. Which, if I'm honest, I think that's a very, very cool concept that they're enforcing to prevent people from being able to have orders at multiple dealerships that end up flipping vehicles. To recap, right now we know that a $5,000 incentive to hold onto the car for 1 year is now coupled with a restriction of warranties transferring to the second owner if sold within the first 12 months. So ultimately what this comes down to is it makes it harder to flip the car, but I really don't think this is the best approach from General Motors on handling the distribution of the Z06. And quite frankly, their allocation process is pro-dealer and anti-consumer, which is part of the reason why they're in this problem in the first place. Instead of the dealers fighting for the consumer's business, the consumers are fighting for the dealer's allocation, and what that results in is a mix of strong arming in the buying experience and process. So for example, what Ford does and Chevrolet does is that your allocation is contingent on your ADS, your average days sold, and your previous volume of sold inventory. And so the big dealers will continue to get a lot of volume, and they can do whatever they want as long as they are moving that volume. There's some caveats to that, but at a high level, that's what's taking place. Is if they get 200 cars and they move 200 cars, they'll get 200 cars next year, give or take. But if you look at Ram's redesigned allocation process after the TRX, where it's pretty much an open blanket where all dealership orders go into a basket and they're being served up regardless of where you order, with some exception to that as well, you can now find at least half a dozen dealerships across the country offering the Halo Ram TRX for $10,000 below MSRP, effectively fighting for the consumers to give that dealership their order versus another dealership. That leverage is lost in the allocation process behind the C8 Corvette, so all these little things that General Motors is doing to combat the flippers and combat the dealer ADM and combat all of this consumer abuse is partly caused by their own allocation process that they aren't changing. And some of this is a rant because I'm trying to get into a Z06. Most that are following the channel know I've wanted one for a long time, and I put all my money on one dealership being able to deliver on a Z06 for me, and that dealership decided that they were going to now be a markup dealer within a bidding process that effectively I'm not going to be able to compete in. If you're a flipper, then fine, you're going to be able to get the car early for 10 over and then flip it for 30 over and make money, but I want to pay sticker and I'm not going to pay over MSRP because I'm going to own the car for multiple years, and that ADM or the initial hype of the car is going to be dead. So not only would I lose depreciation, I'd also lose a ton of value for any markup that I would pay to get it early. And so I did bid $10,000 over MSRP, but I don't think I'd actually pay that because it just doesn't make sense. So if General Motors adjusted their allocation process to be open and very similar to the Silverado EV and to the new Blazer and what most dealerships are doing with their EV vehicles like Tesla has done for years, use that process for all of your vehicles, and all of these needs for these weird caveats, these weird incentives, and all this extra work is lost if they make the allocation process a pro-consumer process as opposed to a pro-dealer process. But for now, I will get off my high horse. I will talk about my whole Z06 situation in the next coming weeks. My car is currently in for warranty repair, so once I get the C8R back, I'll hopefully be able to talk a little bit more about the C8R situation, as well as talk a little bit more about my Z06 situation. And so that's all the information that I have available to you. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a big old thumbs up. If you have not already, definitely go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And as always, until the very next video, I look forward to seeing all of you in the comment section below.